out of that operating system, is it?
Yes, yes. Well, maybe it's a system, maybe it's even greater than an operating system. Maybe it's the force itself that the whole thing is run by. Who knows?
Yes,
I can't tell you. I don't know the answer, but I just know what it feels right to me at times. But I'm curious then, so this evolution, how long would it take, this evolution where you feel like Spirit, God grace is pouring through you, not every moment, but it's always available, and that it is something that you value so much at this point?
Well, it took a long time. I learned this program really slowly. It took me a long while. Step 4 is a pivotal step, and I avoided step 4 for a long, long while. I didn't want to do it. Like that's a real transitional moment, the one where you take an inventory, because it's admin. Yes. 1, 2, 3, you can do them quickly. Yeah, I'm f***ed. Yeah, it's possible to not be f***ed. I'm not going to unf*** myself, I need help. 4, write stuff down.
And be honest.
Yeah, right. So I avoided both of those things.
Most difficult honesty is often honesty with the self, right? Because the ego gets in the way of that process.
I suppose so.
Did you just get so much pain, that's what pushed you through? What pushed you through? I'm digging for that. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. I can only guess.
Well, what happened was I became very famous and successful, and the feelings didn't alter. Like I think so. Like
you thought that would do it. The fame would fill the hole.
I think looking at it retrospectively, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And it didn't. And was there a moment? What was the moment that whenever people make a change, when they have a breakthrough, I would define a breakthrough as it's a moment in time. There's a moment when no more, no longer, let's begin. I love you. It's over. I quit. Whatever it is, that moment of decision. What was the moment that finally kicked you over? I'm curious. Well, you've been living this way for a long time.
I have been, but what surprises me about it is that there seem to be more and more incremental transitions. There was certainly one around 5 years ago, well, like maybe more, maybe it was 10 years ago, where I was like sort of famous and making movies and stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with those things in themselves per se, but like I thought this isn't doing anything. I was like making Arthur. I was making a remake of I'm a big fan of Dudley Moore. I was a fan of that movie. Helen Mirren's in the movie. Yeah. I thought this isn't it. This isn't it. Yeah. This isn't it. Yeah. And then a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and this felt like a profound one. And luckily, I have a mentor that was able to explain to me, this is exactly what you're meant to feel. I was 40 years old. I was in my house. I thought I could walk away from every single thing. I don't want to live in this house. I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to do what I'm doing. None of it's real. And I'd called him and he said, this is exactly what you should feel in this moment. You are in the middle way. Dante writes about this. This is where you are. This is the middle point of the path. And if you don't know myth, if you don't know our traditions, because of course we have the 2 million year old brain, but we also have the 20,000 year old brain that's got traditions and rituals and stories to navigate us through this. And I recognized, you're at the point now that you're moving towards death. You're not moving away from birth anymore. Now this is the transition. You are becoming, and so now all of those things happened. I live in a different place. I live with my wife, and I have one child, and another child is coming. And
I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Yeah, another one's coming. It's come to be born on this dimension. Where is it now? Where is its consciousness now? I'm going to ask it the minute it comes out. That's its first question. Where was your consciousness? Where was your consciousness?
You have to do a mind meld to make that.
Maybe we'll get that cigarette machine on it. Get out of the ward, Mr. Brand. I must have truth. Truth.
Well, the closest place to get truth is usually with a child, right? Before we mess them up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that mentorship, and let's also make sure we finish the steps. I want people to get the book regardless, and this is not enough. They've got to take in the book. But the 6th step is we're entirely ready to have God remove all defects from our character. How do you define that one, and how profound was that for you?
Well, that's a lot of up patterns. Do you want to stop it? Seriously? It's like coming to terms with that behind the problems was never drink and drugs. The problem was what were in the lexicon of recovery, defects of character, greed, pride, self-pity, self-centeredness, jealousy, envy, intolerance, impatience, lust, gluttony. That like a little network of patterns that are running in my mind. And after the inventory process, I could see in any one of the transgressions that I delineated, against people that I loved, you'd have loads of resentments against your mother, loads against your father. All the people you love most, they're the people you've got the most resentments against, of course. And but every single resentment that I wrote down, I could see that in each one there was fear, and in each one there were other defects of character. My pride, what other people should think of me. My
Which is really just an extension of fear, isn't it?
How do you mean, Tony?
Well, when you say, my pride, what do people think of me? Isn't it just afraid that they won't love you, that they won't connect with you, that they won't be there with you? Is that really what's behind it? I'm curious.
And possibly also that you can't control them, that there is no control.
Which is another fear.
That is fear, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all, fear.
And control is an illusion anyway, right? We can't control it. We can't control even our own kids. We can influence them. We can influence society. We can't control any of it. It's that illusion of control.
Oh, man.
Then we want to look for something else that we feel the illusion of control. Certainly drugs and alcohol give that in the moment to some extent, until they don't.
Yes, you're right.
Give you out of control if you're the kind of person that's more in control.
That's a good point too. Yeah, there are people that have been trained to be in control all the time.
Being in control.
Why don't you share that, Mary?
For being out of control, for example.
For me, it was an escape to get out of a world where she had to be in control at all times, right?
Why?
I think growing up in a household that was pretty buttoned up and wasn't sharing a lot of emotions, we didn't have many missteps. Like, we were well-behaved tots.
That's
and then
right.
It was like, whoa, you discover this piece that you can do anything you want, and it doesn't even feel like you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's seduction.
In Jungian terms, the shadow was not honoured.
Yes.
The shadow weren't allowed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it fights till it does. It's like pushing down a snake your whole life. And then all of a sudden, one day, you get exhausted and the snake pops out and people go, what's wrong with this person? They're never like this. It was part of them. But instead of accepting and utilizing it and redirecting it, the more we try to just pretend it's not there, the more the pain comes, it seems.
Tony, I spent my whole life pushing that snake down. Just this morning when I woke up, I was pushing that snake. Little cheeky joke. No, I'm a comedian. Yeah, cheeky joke once in a while. No, throw it in. Why? It's no trouble. It's even fun. Oh, it's like the mood. Why?
Step 7, I'll transition with. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Tell me your version of that, if you would.
Are you willing to live in a new way that's not all about you and your previous up stuff? You have to. So it's interesting that those two steps are separated. One, acknowledging you've got loads of problems, and two, to break them into two parts, letting go of those problems. Why would you not want to let go of those problems? Well, the way it was explained to me is like, do you really want to let go of lust? Do you really want to let go of judging people and self-righteousness and really have a different attitude towards it? And what that becomes in practice for me, it becomes like, right, I reckon instead of if I'm feeling jealous and insecure, instead of going, well, I should feel jealous and insecure, I go, right, in this moment I'm feeling jealous and insecure.
That's great.
Is there a way of letting go of it? Instead of, like, I think by justifying your problems, you recommit to them.
Ooh, say that again. I want everybody to hear that.
By justifying your commitments, you recommit to them. I've just impressed Tony Robbins with a little phrase.
It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, because you're saying, I should have this problem. I should have it.
You buy into the narrative. You had a story about who you were. You have a new story about who you are. Can you tell me the difference in those two narratives?
Yeah, it's changing all of the time.
That's beautiful.
Prior to it, it was like that I'd had all these